Hey everybody, it's Patrick, and this is a big weekend for a number of people. I know there are friends of mine and acquaintances who are running the Scotiabank Toronto Waterfront Marathon and the Detroit Free Press Talmer Bank Marathon. And I wanted to follow up on a video that I had posted earlier this week on how to take care of the taper crazies, with some thoughts about how to make the most out of your race day experience. And just a couple of weeks ago, I had the opportunity and the privilege of serving as a pacer at a marathon. And one of the things I've discovered about pacing at a marathon is that it's not just your job to run at the appropriate pace for your target finishing time, but also to be providing coaching along the way. And so I just thought I would pass along a lot of or a number of the thoughts and tips and tricks that I shared with those folks, and see if they're helpful to you. So just a couple of quick thoughts. One is, and this is like the cardinal rule on race day, is don't try anything that you haven't tried already in practice, in training. The last thing you want to do is to show up on race day with a brand new pair of shoes, and you go out running, you're thinking, okay, a new pair of shoes is going to serve me well, but then you feel something niggling, you feel a hot spot on the side, or it's just the lacing pattern is too tight and it's applying pressure to the top of your foot. Who knows what happens? But you want to go with things that you just eliminate as many variables so you control all you can control on race day. That being said, if there's anything that starts to bother you, even as you're kind of heading out to the start line, or take care of that. Like you just get that stuff out of your mind. So even if it's an old favorite pair of shoes and something's wrong, make those adjustments so that when you get going in the race, you don't have to think about it. So that's really cardinal rule number one. Don't try anything new on race day. Cardinal rule number two on race day is don't go out too fast. And I think everybody says it, everybody knows it, but just about everybody does it. And it's part of the environment of being surrounded by racers, the adrenaline, the fact that you've been tapering, you can't wait to get racing. But the truth is that if you go out too fast, so faster than your target half marathon pace, what have you, then you'll use exponentially more glycogen and fuel than if you were to slow that down, and you'll have more fuel for later in the race when it gets harder and you need to recruit more energy. So again, just maybe find a group that's going a little bit slower than you might think, or just dial it back. If you think you're going out and this is really comfortable, slow down a bit. Because the last thing you want to do is be passing people at the beginning in the first couple of kilometers and having all of them pass you later on in the race towards the end. So make sure you keep that in mind. With regard to nutrition, you'll be maybe carrying bottles with you, or taking gels, or maybe using the stuff that they provide on course. And again, just be wary of anything that you haven't tried before, especially if they're handing it out at the aid station tables. Is to take your nutrition before you need it. I don't know how many gels you're going to take, if that is your fueling of choice. Everybody is different in terms of what they are accustomed to or what they feel they need. I'm the kind of person, I take my first gel after 40 minutes and then 20 minutes after that. So it's based on time, not distance for me. But just try to keep taking your fuel so that you are staying on top of your energy storage. You're not kind of running low and then going, oh, I better take something, because it takes about 10 or 15 minutes for your body just to process that and for a lot of that fueling to kick in. So take your nutrition before you need it. Along the course, again, the things you can't control sometimes are the ambient conditions. So the weather, how hot it is, how wet it is, how windy it is. And then there's the course profile, just kind of how hilly it is. So one of the things that I said to the runners with me at the county marathon where I was pacing is that if we're going uphill or we're going into the wind where there's just that added bit of resistance, go by effort, not by pace. And you, again, will not be able to get as much in terms of gains for the energy that you expend going uphill or into the wind as you would by going with the wind or downhill. So if you're going to use your energy then when you've got those factors on side with you. If you're running into the wind, maybe you have the opportunity to take advantage of drafting. You kind of tuck in with a pack. That'll just help reduce either your perceived fatigue. You'll be running with a group, and you may be benefiting from the break in the wind. So do that if necessary. But again, don't push too hard into the wind or uphill. Save that for when you've got those things working with you. Run the tangents. If you don't know what I mean by run the tangents, look it up. But basically, most courses are measured according to the tangent. So it's the shortest distance between 2 points. So if you're turning a corner, it's not going to follow the outside curve of the corner. It's going to actually cut to nearest across the lanes to the opposite curb and in a straight line. So if you are able to run the tangents, so again, stick to the closest straightest line along the course, regardless of how the road winds, then you're going to cut some significant distance off. If you follow the outside curve, it's like running to the outside of a racetrack. In the outside lane, you could potentially be adding, who knows, 800 to 1200 meters maybe on a marathon course. On a half marathon course, again, 4 to 6, maybe 4 to 800 meters if you're running on outside when the tangents are available. So run the tangents. As you get into those moments where you're getting into the tough spots, you're maybe hitting that perceived wall, or you're just in the late stages of the race, there are a couple of things that you can really do to help yourself out. One is to play some mental games, whether it's have some mantra in your head that's like just stay strong, focus on good form, run hard, or just go back in your memory, your training memory, to those days where you persevered through the winter or through the incredible summer humidity. Just remember those hard days and think, I have prepared myself for this so that I'm ready to go on race day. And you'll be surprised at what that does for you in terms of kicking yourself psychologically, mentally into another gear. You can also focus on your breathing. That's always a good thing. My friend Stan was great. I picked up a recommendation from him on taking really deep breaths, and holding it for a second and releasing it slowly. And I do that in the course of a run and just find that helps me to reset, especially if I feel like I'm going through a patch that is particularly hard or late in the race. And if you experience spasms in your muscles, so whether that's your quads or your hamstrings or your calves, I've experienced them. I'm no different, regardless of how many miles I've run, how many marathons I've run. I still get spasms, and I've managed to figure out a way to run through them. It may not be pretty, because what happens is I actually begin to alter my gait. So either I bring my knees up higher, or I don't bend my knees as much, just to kind of work through and almost stretch things out while still running, while still moving. Maybe my pace might slow a bit, and again, it might look kind of ugly, but it actually allows me to kind of work things out. It changes up the pattern, the changes up the cycle of my running stride enough just to kind of work those spasms away, or to hold them at bay, and then resume my natural stride. So I know when I say change it up, it's no more than for like 5 or 6 seconds, and maybe the course of 10, 15 meters, but it manages to make a difference for me. Anyway, so those are just a couple of race day tips. Most importantly, go out there and have fun. I mean, you work for this, you paid for this, but I know that you'll be trying to hit personal best. You'll want to go out there to do the best you can, maybe to raise money for a charity, whatever it is you're doing. But go out there and have fun. I mean, you have this gift of being able to run and to feel the exhilaration of being in with a crowd and performing your best. And I hope that you have a great day out there, regardless of what happens. And we will catch up with you again soon. Thanks, everyone. All the best.